Hi, welcome to Tea Time. Thank you for tuning in. With me, Chaiti Narula. We're at the Miditech Golf and Country Club in Noida, rather a very picturesque golf course. Today on the show, we will be discussing media. Now, since the 1980s days of Doordarshan till today, we've seen a huge paradigm shift in the way media is looked at and consumed in this country. Discussing the changing paradigm of media today on the show with me is the co-founder and CEO of Miditech Private Limited, Nikhil Alva.
On the show this week, we have Nikhil Alva, co-founder and CEO, Miditech.
Within the producer community and the broadcast community, I think people are looking for options outside of Mumbai. Where else can we develop infrastructure? Where can we actually take production? You know, it's always been Mumbai, has been the heart and soul of the Hindi film industry and the television industry.
In news, Matt Every wins the Arnold Palmer Invitational and Carlos Ortiz wins the Panama Carlo Championship, his first Web.com tour title.
What a brilliant tee off, Nikhil. Welcome to Tea Time.
Thank you.
Awesome having you on the show.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
So let's hit the brass tracks straight away. Now, right from the days of Doordarshan in 1980s till today, 2014, we're seeing such a huge paradigm shift in the way media is looked at, consumed in this country. You've been very crucial to this entire journey as well. You've seen it through from the days of Doordarshan till today. Let's go over that paradigm a little bit, the way content is looked at today, from then to now.
I think the fundamental shift that's happened is that in the early 90s when we first started, we were a single channel kind of universe.
Doordarshan days.
Doordarshan, that's right. And so everyone watched Doordarshan.
Yes.
Right? So the content that you created didn't really have to be very differentiated.
Right.
In a sense that because of the massive distribution of Doordarshan, right, you got into people's homes.
Right.
But today in 2014, in a universe with 500 to 600 to 700 channels, depending on how you look at it,
Sure.
I think distribution is a bit of a commodity.
Right.
And content is really the differentiator.
Correct.
Okay, because these channels are accessible now by everyone, depending
Absolutely.
on the kind of DTH system or the digital cable system that you're on. So the only real differentiator is content, and that's what I'm really excited about, to be honest.
So speaking about content, let's walk over the fairway and discuss. Now, 600 odd channels today. From the time you mentioned we had one channel in India in the 1980s to 2014 as we stand today. Obviously, this gives a very huge opportunity for companies like yours who are into content creation, because suddenly there is 600 channels to cater to vis-a-vis that one that you had. Let's go over that paradigm a little bit as well. And what kind of differential content creation opportunities do you see at this point of time for yourself?
Look, I think if you dissect the universe, it's really, it's in 3 or 4 different segments. One is the mass scale general entertainment channels.
Right.
Phenomenal reach, huge viewership, very big money riding on them. Then you've got the smaller niches, whether it's news or whether it's movies or kids, etc., etc.
Right.
Right. So I think the content strategy on both are very, very different. For the GEC mass scale entertainment strategy, the budgets, etc., are really going through the roof. It's about bringing in the big stars, the big writers. The scale is very, very important to differentiate. Okay, and that is really has moved phenomenally over the last 3 or 4 years into a completely different league.
Correct.
On the more niche side, I think it's become much more fragmented, where there are multiple players now because of technology. It's not as expensive to actually produce content as it used to be 5 or 6 years ago.
Correct.
Okay, I think technology has been a great leveler. So over there in the niches, I think there's been a lot of fragmentation on the content side, with hundreds of new production companies actually coming into that space. And I think it's fantastic because it's actually grown the pie significantly, across the board.
All right, on that note, let me tee you up and we continue our conversation.
Good.
All right, so let's discuss this changing phenomena in content creation a little bit. Mumbai for the longest time has been the hub of content creation for the onslaught of channels that we're talking about in this country, but that is now changing because of the infrastructure being saturated. People are finding new geographies to move into. I believe Miditech is conscientiously looking at Delhi as developing the hub for content creation.
That's right. You know, strangely, I've lived in Delhi all my life.
Right.
But since '98, I've been a commuter to Mumbai every week. 3 days a week in Mumbai, 4 days over here.
Okay.
And it's been pretty hectic and crazy, but Mumbai is the hub of the entertainment industry. But what I've noticed in the last couple of years especially is that I think that both on the infrastructure front, where there is really, as you're saying, there is a saturation, studio facilities, etc., very, very tough to come by, not of a standard that you would expect for an industry of this scale and size.
Right.
Okay, and also, if I might say, the unionization of the television and film industry, we're dealing with multiple unions, in every aspect of it. I think has become a bit of a bottleneck for scale and for producers who are looking to expand over there. And within the producer community and the broadcast community, I think people are looking for options outside of Mumbai. Where else can we develop infrastructure? Where can we actually take production?
Correct.
It's always been Mumbai, has been the heart and soul of the Hindi film industry and the television industry.
Yes.
So I think that's where companies like Miditech actually play a part, because Delhi is our natural headquarters. We've been here right from the early 90s.
Right.
And we're looking to invest behind infrastructure, behind teams, people, and actually do a little bit to expand, television and film production in this region. Frankly, there's absolutely nothing over here.
How long before you take time to develop this market to come onto par with Mumbai? It's obviously going to take more than a decade, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think, on par with Mumbai is a very long-term game.
Right.
And I don't think that's the intention.
Okay.
But certainly to be able to create, new zones where television production can take place.
Right.
So we're not completely dependent only on one, where in any case there's a saturation as far as infrastructure goes. So that's the thought process. So we moved some of our big scale productions out of Mumbai to Delhi, to the NCR region.
Right.
It's a bit of an experiment. We're being backed by broadcasters, to try and do that. But I must say I'm really happy with the results, so far. People have been cooperative, people have helped, develop stuff. We are in startup mode, literally.
Absolutely.
And it's really an exciting time to be trying to do that.
That brings me to a next very interesting point about digitization, because obviously while content creation opportunities are ample for companies like yours, the problem is TV somewhere will eventually get saturated. It is getting replaced by digitization of media. Do you think the end is near for television, or will it still continue to rake in the eyeballs that it has been raking so far?
Look, I think it's, there's a fundamental insight, which is television is a social medium, right? Typically, television is viewed with more than just yourself. You've got your family, you have your partner or your kids watching television with you. Whereas what we typically call the digital, the smaller screens or the second screens, your mobile phone or your iPad screen or whatever else, is much more personal, that viewing experience. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't think television is going to die. It's not died anywhere in the world. Certainly it's changed and the models have changed and you're not as advertising dependent perhaps as you were 10 years ago. But the basic fact that television is a social experience, that you like sharing certain content with other people, right, will, I think, in my mind at least, ensure that television is not going away, in a hurry.
I'm going to be touching upon whether we can replace the internet with television in the near future as well, but all that and more on the other side of this break. It's a good time now for us to take a quick breather right here on TeeTime. We will stay in conversation with Nikhil Alva, the co-founder and the CEO of Miditech Private Limited, and discuss whether the new paradigm for content creation would be towards internet or not. Thank you for staying with us on Tea Time and welcome back. We're still in conversation with the co-founder and CEO of Miditech Private Limited, Nikhil Alva. And on the first segment, we were discussing about the Internet of Things, the television of things, and how content is changing over time. Now, does the future of television really look very promising given the in 2014, we will be seeing the analog cable sunset?
Absolutely. I think it's completely transformational because it takes out all the bottlenecks of the old analog systems and allows a massive expansion in terms of the sheer number and variety of channels that viewers can expect and see.
Correct.
And for a content producer, that's fantastic. That's a great opportunity because all those channels, at the end of the day, what's common to all of them, apart from the distribution, is content. They all need content.
Right.
So the scale of the game is actually completely transformed and changed. The kind of investments that are going into content today are out of a magnitude, 3 or 4x the kind of content investments were happening just 2 years ago.
Right.
So I think there's tremendous potential, and a lot of that is being driven by this entire digitization process.
But when it comes to advertising in television somewhere, do you think that this pie is eventually reducing slowly and steadily given the Internet of Things now, and the advertisers are now looking at a medium like an internet over and above television, given gone are the days of appointment viewing rather?
To a certain extent, yes, because of the fragmentation and the kind of viewing options that are available to consumers. Advertisers have to find more efficient ways to actually reach those consumers or viewers.
Right.
But at the same time, I think what is changing is because of digitization, subscription revenues are where the real growth is going to come in. For broadcasters.
Correct.
And that's the same in markets across the developed markets across the world. In fact, in markets like Germany and France, etc., it's actually the ratio is about 80-20 in some cases towards subscription revenues.
Sure.
Okay, and I think that's what is going to actually transform broadcast companies in India as consumers get used to paying for content.
Correct. As somebody who is an authority on content creation, this is probably something apt that I must ask you, which is about digitization of things. Now, with the digitization, you will see the internet reaching to every nook and corner and pocket of this country, virtually everywhere. Will this somewhere change the way content is created and fed to the consumers as well?
Absolutely. I think the internet, offers us a phenomenal opportunity to actually tap into consumers in different parts of India, as you're pointing out, and to do it relatively cheaply, as opposed to setting up large-scale broadcasting infrastructure.
Right.
And already you're seeing that's starting to happen from a content perspective, where people are targeting specific individuals, specific user groups.
Right.
Okay,
regional tastes as well.
Regional tastes, exactly, which from a broadcast perspective might not be efficient.
Right.
Let's say I want to target viewers of who are interested, let's say, in Chinese cuisine. Now, the broadcast platform might not be the best way to actually, to target those kind of consumers. The internet allows me to actually narrowly target consumers of different tastes and choices, different kinds of passion groups.
Right.
And that is where I think, the real advantage of the internet lies, of being able to tailor-make content for smaller and smaller groups.
Have you started that
personal.
somewhere at Miditech as well, to tailor-made content for smaller groups, regional, and obviously uber focus on regional taste and localization as
Absolutely.
well?
I think it's an important part of
Can you give me some
our
few
growth strategy.
examples
We
of
started
how
with
you've done
food,
it?
for example. We're
Correct.
working on food because we genuinely believe that there is a great passion in India for good quality food programming.
Correct.
And our tastes are very varied.
Absolutely.
And region to region.
Absolutely.
Also from a content maker's perspective, you've got some really incredible personalities and people, ordinary people, chefs, whatever.
Absolutely.
Who are very passionate about what they do.
Correct.
It's also relatively easy to produce. So we're experimenting with food and travel as well in a big way, our traditional strengths.
Right.
And doing short format content that we place, on with partners like YouTube and with other partners. Right now it's an experimental kind of mode, but I see that becoming a big driver for us over the next 3 or 4 years.
All right, so on that note, it's a good time now for us to take a quick break right here on Tea Time. We will remain in conversation with Nikhil, and a rather interesting conversation stirring up. We will also touch upon his golfing escapades, his personal life, how he shares a relationship back in the office with his brother as well, who is the co-founder of the company. All that and more on the other side. Take a break right here on Tea Time. Where is it, on the green?
Just to the edge of the green.
All right, welcome back and thank you for staying with us on Tea Time. Now, interestingly, on this segment, we will touch upon Nikhil's personal life as well. We will talk about his golfing escapades as well. Okay, so now let's go over your personal life a little bit. Your brother Nikhil and you founded this company in the 1990s.
Yes, that's right.
You know, you also have other siblings as a part of your business, and eventually you all are one big happy family at home and one big happy family at work as well. How much of face-off do you really have with your siblings? How much of these personal differences get taken in the boardroom and professional differences get carried back home? I mean,
we actually fight a lot at work, and it's becoming worse over the years. As we get older, we're getting more rigid with our points
but that's a good
views.
Thing.
It's a good thing.
It's very constructive.
So we definitely fight a lot. But it's very clear that fights at work don't come to, into our personal or our home lives.
Are you all being able to compartmentalize?
To a very large extent, yes, because we've got used to doing that over 20 years of working together, to be honest.
Right.
So it's not we're not perfect. It's not, everything is not really happy and fantastic. Okay, but I think we respect each other. We respect each other's points of views, and we are, not shy to state them. We're both. We're both experienced enough now to respect and to make space for each other.
So how many members of the family really are a part of Miditech?
Oh, good question. Not as many as you think, actually. Look, when we first set up Miditech in the early 90s, the only people you could recruit, to be honest, were your friends or family.
Okay.
No one else would come and work for a content startup, with no funding, etc., etc. So the people you relied on were the people around you, and they stepped up and they took that risk, and they came in at a time where the industry was really small, and then suddenly it expanded over a 3 or 4 year period. The industry really expanded. So whoever was in those early days, rode that boom time at some level, right? So that's how it became. A lot of the family got involved with the entire production business. Some of them are still involved, like my sister does projects for us occasionally. My younger brother is not that involved anymore. He's following a political career. So it's mostly Niret and myself, and my wife Priya, who has also worked with us for over 20 years. But again, she handles specific projects.
Sure.
But when it comes to the management of the company, it's just Niret and I.
You're a golfer yourself. Your brother isn't. Do you coax him to take on to this game? How much is this game really helping you in your business, really?
Good question. I took to golf fairly late in life. I was a state level athlete, a national level shooter, and golf always seemed like a very sedate old man's kind of game till I turned 40, and then I picked it up. So I picked it up fairly
late in your life. Okay.
But I've really been enjoying it. I made a lot of great friends.
Sure.
Spent a lot of time out on the course, and it's fabulous. I wish I picked it up, when I was much younger. But I've had a great time. Niret, on the other hand, has not taken to it at all. He prefers his long walks and meditation. Patience is a big thing, right? How difficult can it be to hit a ball with a silly little...
That's what we all think when we start.
Exactly. You realize how difficult it actually is. And the variations, and the fact that you never have the same shot to play ever, no matter how many rounds of golf you play. And I think that's a bit like business. You're constantly, facing new difficulties, new obstacles, new situations, and you've got to adapt. You've got to look in your bag and see what tools you have over there that you can apply.
Correct.
And your experience of playing, different courses and things.
All right, on that note, let's finish our game. Come.
Sounds good.
Oh, just about this.
Bad reaction.
Finish it.
That.
So let's talk about golf in detail now. A lot of corporate golf challenges that you find yourself playing.
A few, yes.
And who are the golfers that you look upon?
I like erratic Rory McIlroy a lot.
Erratic Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
Why do you call him erratic?
I just like who he is as a person. The fact that when he's in flow, he's absolutely brilliant. And when it's not going his way, you can see it on his face. He it's all on his face. He's okay with throwing a tantrum. He's okay with throwing his clubs down. He's okay even on occasion walking off the golf course when he's having a really bad day. I find that quite fascinating, because golf is otherwise a very, people hold on to their emotions. They don't really express themselves.
Out of the Indians, which ones do you really enjoy?
Shiv Kapoor, been following him a lot over the years.
Do you see golf television improving in the near future as far as India is concerned? Golfing shows picking up somewhere. What is your opinion on that?
Look,
Where do we stand in India?
I think it's got a lot of room for growth, no doubt about it. You see golf courses coming up all across the country. Forget the big metros, even in smaller cities and towns. And I think a lot of parents see golf as a sport that can help transform their kids' lives.
Correct.
And I think that would be a big driver in the future for golf television and for interest in golf. So yes, I think it has great
But
potential.
when you have to take it on television, you need to make sure that it's finding its way into a shorter format, otherwise it will get boring.
Especially for younger audiences. If you want to bring in
Right.
younger audiences, you've got to make it a little faster pace. You've got to, little more behind the scenes, what's going on with the golfers. It's an entire package, which cricket is doing brilliantly.
Well, we
thankfully,
hope what
through-
happened to
through the
cricket
IPL.
definitely happens to golf
Yes.
because that's amazing to see a sport grow in such numbers.
Yeah.
On that note, thank you so much, Nikhil,
Thank you.
for joining me on
Enjoyed
the show.
chatting with you.
Enjoyed chatting with you thoroughly. Thanks a ton again. On that note, that's a wrap from Nikhil Alva and me, Chaiti Narula. I will see you next week again. Until then, enjoy the flight of a good drive.